Well, welcome to the big broadcast. Here we are once again, the new Variety Arts Show. I'm your host, Brad Zinn, and we're coming to you on your public access television channel. And we want you to check the listings and make sure you tune in every week, because if you miss, there will be a test. Actually, the new Variety Arts Show is your chance to meet some interesting guests that are going to talk about variety arts in the 90s. Clowns, mimes, jugglers, magicians, hypnotists, puppeteers, you name it, they'll all be here. And we hope that you'll appreciate variety artists when you get to see them live and in person the next time, just that little bit much more. Right now we want to introduce our musical director here today, Mr. Bill Swayze.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Bill, very good. I had a wonderful weekend. What did you do this weekend?
Well, we took our dog out shopping.
Oh, did you? I had a wonderful weekend. You know, we film here very near the freeway, and Saturday night I went out and I put chewing gum on the Black Canyon. I caught 7 Yugos. They just kind of, you know, just. Have you seen those little cars?
Oh yeah, my dog drives one.
Oh, really? Well, very good. Bill, I know you like magic, or you wouldn't hang around here so much. And we have a very special guest here today, who is a wonderful magician. He's had over 50 years in the business, and we're going to go over and meet him now. Follow me. It's Mr. George Sands. George, thanks for being here today. And George, we want to talk to you about variety arts, as you've seen them over the years, and certainly what you think the future of variety arts is going to be. And you also promised to do a little bit of magic for us today. Is that right?
Oh yes.
Very good. Well, first of all, I want to find out how this all started for you. Where did you get your start in show business?
New York City. Dr. Abe Hurwitz, Harry Lewis's father, organized magic clubs in the playgrounds. And I got caught in the web.
So you were just an innocent school child on the playground. And
Actually, I wasn't innocent.
Well, that may be another subject for another show. Well, now did you start right off doing magic, or were there other aspects?
Initially, really, I walked into a novelty store, saw a couple of tricks that I had been fooled with years and years before. Bought them, and the proprietor showed me another trick, so I had to come back and buy that, and he showed me another trick. and
kind of got you caught up in it. How old were you at that time? Were you a fairly young man?
17.
17, so you were out of high school by then. And from this somewhat humble beginning of buying novelty magic items in the novelty store, you've developed into creating your own magical effects and routines. And I think it's very fascinating to people that how do you sit around and think these things up? What's the process to create magic?
Creativity is just like in science. You have a goal. You have no idea of how to do it, but you're out to solve it. In medical, you're out to cure a disease. Nobody knows how, but you have an aim, so that you make up an idea that you want done. As impossible as it sounds, that's what you aim for. You don't solve every one. But
so you have to work backwards then from where you want to be to how to get
every now and then you'll have an inspiration, something that you hadn't even planned.
Is there a lot of magic created that way? Just you wake up in the middle of the night and say, hey, that's a great idea?
I wouldn't know how the others necessarily do it. I know, yes, every now and then I'll have an inspiration that came clear out of the blue. But most of the things that I do, you have a premeditated aim. So
have there been things that you wanted to do and it took years to figure out how to do it? Just all of a sudden it just clicked?
There's one particular one. I wanted to be able to memorize a deck of cards after it's shuffled. And for 10 years, I thought of it. I had it written on a piece of paper, and I'd come across it. And one night, 4 a.m. in the morning, I says, I got it. And frightened the heck out of my wife.
I can imagine. Well, now you've set down many of the things that you've created and invented in books. How many books have you authored?
So far, I have 7 books authored. 5 of them on variety magic, no specific subject. One of them strictly on ropes.
I think that's probably what you're best known for, isn't it?
That's what I'm known internationally for amongst magicians. If I were known that well amongst laymen, I'd be a rich man. And one of them on an encyclopedia on balloon animal sculpturing.
We're going to get into that a little bit later because that's a fascinating subject to me as well, and how that ties in with the magic.
Oh, I should mention one other thing.
Please do.
I have just completed, as of yesterday, a complete book on Punch and Judy puppetry, how to make the paper mache, the plastic wood, the puppets, etc. And I have another book that is 2/3 done on 55 years of magic.
Oh, my goodness.
That's going to come out next year.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you're not an idle man. You retired here to the Valley of the Sun and just stayed as busy as you were before.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Talk about some of the other talents that you have besides magic, because after 55 years in the business, you've acquired some other very well-developed skills in show business and entertaining.
Well, almost everything is pertaining to magic. For instance, in the Catskills and Poconos, in the resort area, where I took on a job as a social director entertainer. Every single day I would do 2 spots during the day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, besides a show at night. And since you have the same people, I would have to have a different type of spot. So one of them is strictly memory. One of them is strictly ESP. Another one would be close-up magic tricks. Another one, how to cheat at cards, etc. But I had to make up enough to take care of the entire week.
Oh, my goodness. Well, a lot of people have trouble just developing one act and making that work. And you had to come up with half a dozen or a dozen different things to do.
Yeah, I put myself on the spot as a social director and created. You give yourself a problem and you do it.
Did you find that any one of those was more popular than the others, like the ESP or the card cheating? Or?
ESP with my wife is very intriguing to people because a lot of people are superstitious. I would give a little talk before ESP and I'd tell them that I'm a fraud. But at the end of the act, the people would think I'm so real that they'd come up and ask me for advice. And sure enough, this would happen every show. And I'd keep insisting I'm a fraud, but they wouldn't believe me.
They wouldn't believe you after they saw what all you did.
Oh, I got to give you one funny bit.
Okay, please do.
I give my wife the powers. In other words, I'm the manipulator. They don't know it. They're watching her closely, but I'm doing all of it. Since I give her the powers, when they kept coming to us for advice, I'd say, I have no powers, my wife has it. And she'd get, in a lot of cases, sick people, while I sat at the bar taking a drink, and she'd go like this to me.
Because you'd pass them on to her, and she didn't know what to make of that. Well, goodness, well, let's talk about over the years that you've been in the business. I'm sure that you have worked a lot of different venues. You mentioned the Catskills, the Adirondacks, the resort hotels.
I've worked ships.
Cruise ships.
I've worked conventions.
Now you worked, how long ago did you work cruise ships? Because that's become very popular recently, but there was actually work on cruise ships many years before the Love Boat ever came on the air.
Yeah, this was in the 50s.
See, now that was a whole different time. I mean, cruise ships were strictly for the very wealthy and
yes,
and not as well known and publicized. And the TV show certainly turned that around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of people knew that there was work on cruise ships back then either.
Now, also, if you go back far enough, we had theaters to work in. Now most of the theaters are gone. You have a little space that you stand in front of the screen. I haven't got much room, so that you don't work theaters. You had a lot of nightclubs then, although nightclubs are coming back with the comedy clubs.
Just a different format.
Yeah.
Do you think the comedy clubs have been very big during the 80s? Do you think that you foresee the comedy clubs going on through the 90s, or do you see a change coming?
I think there's always going to be a change. I wish I could predict by ESP to prepare, but there's a constant change on everything, really.
Do you think we'll see more variety arts in the comedy clubs, more magicians, jugglers?
Magicians have become
ventriloquists?
popular with it. Since Doug Henning had the Broadway show, he brought magic to the fore again after it lay pretty dead. Then you had a couple of others come in, where Blackstone Jr. is doing a good job. And it's popularized magic now. We're being shown on television, especially the comedy clubs, and a lot of trade shows are using us.
That's true. That's true. A lot of places where business is being conducted, magic is a nice little icebreaker and gets the wheels turning. Well, George, I know you brought some stuff with you here today, and I'm dying to see you do something. Would you favor us with something?
Well,
oh, and I see your book here. Let's hold this up, shall we?
Go ahead.
This is, I don't know which camera we're on here, but this is George Sands' book, 50 Years in Magic. Now, it says down here, Volume 1, George.
I already have 5 volumes. 54 is the last one, and 55 is next year.
Oh, goodness, 55 years in magic. Bill, do you want to peruse that while we're doing magic over here? Okay.
And he'll give us competition.
I guess. So what did you bring with you? A deck of cards, I see,
Yeah.
the pasteboards.
Okay. I have a red-backed deck. Can you make it out? And there's one blue-backed card on top of the deck. You don't know what that blue-backed card is.
I have no idea. We haven't set anything up, and I wanted to be the...
Would you take any card and mentally, I'm going to force you to match that blue-backed card.
You're going to mentally force me to match that card?
Take any card you want.
So I just want to look at one and...
Withdraw it.
Oh, okay. All right. Right there.
Now that is a free choice.
That is a free choice.
Okay, replace that in the deck.
All right.
Now the blue back card on top of the deck.
Yes.
Would you name your card?
The 6 of spades.
The 6
oh
of
my
spades.
God.
Now,
How does he do that?
Okay, now this is mentalism. Now let me change it into magic.
Oh, okay.
We're going to take the 6 of spades, put your hand out. Put your other hand on top of that.
Okay.
Now let's say that you had accidentally picked a 9 of diamonds.
The 9 of diamonds. Okay.
In a case like this, I would have to take the 6 of spades out of your hand and leave the blue-backed 9 of diamonds in your hand. Would you please turn it face up?
The blue-backed 9 of diamonds.
How does he do that?
Thank you.
we got a round of applause from the crew here. They love it. That's great. Well, let's talk about how you got started in the Catskills, because you know, there's a lot of history here. A lot of acts came out of the Catskills. Buddy Hackett, Danny Kaye, and did you get a chance to work with them?
They were much before my time. I got into the Catskills. My first wife passed away. I was left with 3 children, 3.5, 8.5, and 13.5. I had some bookings in the Catskills, so I decided to move them into the area that I was working. I realized that I didn't have enough shows as yet, and I had to pave my way. So I volunteered. I took a job as a social director. This way they paid my food, they paid my lodging, and the guests and staff raised my kids. Besides my jumping out and doing shows for the other places. It took me 2 years to work up a complete following with all the hotels.
A circuit. Now, the Catskills were a very special place and were really a breeding ground for all kinds of acts, not just magicians,
Yeah.
but comics and singers and comedians and whatever. Can you talk a little bit about what that magic was? I mean, the magic of the Catskills and all those resorts, and why it was so popular, and what it
The Catskills and the Poconos are far different than any other resort in that they give the guests all kinds of amenities. The social director has a formalized thing for the entire day in which he has the people follow him and keeps them active.
Now, this conjures up images of people who've seen the movie Dirty Dancing. Is that...
Dirty Dancing was one-sided and wasn't quite like it. It's an exaggeration.
kind of a parody on...
Yeah,
on
if there was anything like that going on, I was very naive. So,
but we had the resort, and people would go and they'd have
Yeah.
activities all day, and it seemed to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about the magic, and particularly you've had years of experience with performing magic in front of lay audiences as well as other magicians. Why do you think magic has such a lasting appeal? I mean, it survived for thousands of years, and it doesn't show any signs of abating, even with the high technology that we have today.
it's a mysticism different than a joke. Once you hear a joke, you know the punchline. In magic, we're doing a joke with physical objects and not giving the secret. It's also a puzzle. Some people like to sit back and be entertained. Some people like to figure out how it's done. Some people resent being fooled. But it's actually the mysticism that keeps the interest.
Do you think magic can be classified as an art, or is it just little tricks and puzzles?
No, there are some entertainers, magicians, who are artists. David Copperfield is an artist.
Because he elevates
Yeah.
magic to a...
He's
to a-
putting a lot more into it than magic. He's putting in dance, choreography, acting, but he is a true artist.
Very good. Well, what do you... Is that the future of magic? Is that where you see magic continuing to grow, or is there another
No
future
idea.
for magic?
I once made a statement to Cardini, who was one of the greatest, if not the greatest magician. In his home, I made the statement, and his wife got very mad. I said, due to modern technology, magic is being sold on the market to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and someday, instead of a person walking into your home and saying, have you heard the latest, they'll say, have you seen the latest? And they came from the old school. This is before World War I. And she really resented it. In other words, they have worked hard to make up their act and be this good. How dare I say that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be doing it?
Oh, goodness. Well, I see a lot of interesting things over here on the table, and you mentioned a little earlier that you'd done an encyclopedia of balloon sculpture.
Yes.
Now, how did this get to be tied in with magic? I mean, how did that tie into your career? Real quick, and then we want to see some...
When you're entertaining children, if you do 45 minutes to an hour, and they're very little children, kindergarten, first grade, you can lose their attention span. Therefore, if you have variety, think of this, 1 hour. If you're doing balloons, it's a half hour, and magic is a half hour. If you're doing ventriloquism, now you split it into 20-minute spots. If you're doing Punch and Judy puppets, you've got 15-minute spots.
And you constantly keep it moving and active.
So, yes, so you can keep the children's attention span, and many a teacher has said to me, it's fantastic how you keep their attention span, but they don't realize I'm not being a magician through the whole show.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, today we have to compete with things like MTV, where the picture changes every 10 seconds. So that's very good what you're saying. What can you show us
Let me
here?
do this
Yeah.
with a balloon.
And I think Mr. Music, Bill Swayze's got a little
Yeah, do me a
appropriate,
favor.
little something. Okay.
It's easier for me to think this way. Challenge me. Name an animal.
I got to challenge him now. I got to think. Can you think of a really weird animal? An alligator. Let's start with an alligator.
Okay.
You want an alligator?
An alligator. I notice you don't have a green balloon, but I'll let you make a white one. How's
Okay.
that?
First of all,
Make sure you have the right end, the one with the hole in it.
yeah,
You could.
you inflated this much, deflated, and you've broken the tension.
Ah, okay.
Stretch it. Now you have a misshapen part and a normal. Roll this forward and push that in, but with 2 fingers all the way in.
I'm thinking of an alligator here because the Hook movie is coming out pretty soon. What is it, Captain Hook or something? Steven Spielberg's movie is coming out soon.
Okay, we got the alligator's face.
Look at that.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Do you break a lot of balloons, George?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you got a very bad batch. 1, 2, 3.
Now, when you say you wrote an encyclopedia of balloon sculpting, you really did go from A to Z in that book, didn't you?
Yeah.
And aardvark and...
2, 3, 4. A, aardvark, alligator, antelope. B, bison, bear, etc.
bison. I've never seen anybody make a bison.
I make a bison. It's a rough one.
Well, I don't want to give you anything too rough here.
Okay. You gave me a very complicated one.
Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Oh, we need to get you away from the mic just a little bit there.
Oh.
The sound man is having a heart attack.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
He's almost done here. We're
1,
going to see
2,
this.
3.
Now, you've developed this into a challenge act where you really have people yell
Name
out.
the animal, I have to make it.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you can't make? Is there one that you can't make? Let us in on your secret.
I don't want to tell you which one. Watch this.
Whoa! Watch the mic now.
2. 1, 2. Okay, and now...
Here we go. We got another pop coming up. Stand by. Hold your ears.
2, 3. 1, 2,
The tension builds.
And here we
Oh,
have
my goodness.
a beautiful alligator.
Oh, is that terrific. Look at that. All right. Very good. Look at that. Hello, Allie. All right. We'll let that be your mascot there, Bill. Okay. Very good. Well, I see that we're getting close on time here. You're best known for ropes. Would you do your rope
Yeah.
for us? Because this has been a career for a lot of people.
Okay.
You've been nice enough to share it with some other magicians.
Initially, I made up a rope routine in which I cut up tons of rope.
Uh-huh.
Because I cut up so much, I decided to make up this routine in which I never use up a rope.
Well, now it looks like you just cut it. I don't know how you're going to restore that.
I didn't get it even, so we'll have to stretch it.
Well, that's called stretching a
Now,
point, I guess.
actually, both of these are a little small, so we'll have to start from the beginning. Now, watch the ends closely.
They went clear
Try
to the
this
other end.
again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cut it again,
Now, how do you do that?
and restore it.
That's wonderful. Sometimes I really wish we had a studio audience here to appreciate
we'll move
and
this
enjoy.
one over so you can see it a little better.
Oh, okay.
Okay, actually, I'll let them see it. Let's see. Oh, we'll just play. Restart again.
George Sands, thank you for being with us here today. It was a pleasure. Please come
You're
back
welcome.
and see us again, okay?
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, folks, and thank you for being here on the New Variety Art Show. We hope to see you again on the next edition. Same time, same channel. Thanks, Bill Swayze, Mr. Music. We'll see you next week on the New Variety Art Show. Support variety arts in your community.